if the actor is going to go around with some kurkure packet or some chips, you cheat it with something that will look like it is an original pack, but it is not making that noise. Because he is going to eat while saying the dialogues. So agar mere dialogue pe charchar aayega, it is insanely difficult to clean it in the post. So it is always superb and correct and always right to do the correct thing during documenting, like during recording that.
Right.
First step is to record good sound. The good sound is all of this.
It's tough to cut through a diverse cacophony in the dense Madhumalai forest and capture only a specific sound. Sound that gives you an immersive effect should you close your eyes. In a documentary, this is like addressing the elephant in the room, and a production sound mixer has a lion's share in ensuring that the right impact is created. And when one achieves that, even the slightest whisper gets noticed at the Academy Awards. Pradyumna Chaware, popularly known as Paddy, has achieved this as a production sound mixer for the Oscar-winning documentary The Elephant Whisperers. In a candid conversation, Paddy speaks about his passion for sound and music and simplifies the technicalities involved in his department on this episode of Convorhythm. Well, how did you come into this industry? I mean, sound, like I'm fascinated with sound and music and all of that since child.
Right.
I didn't pursue that. I prefer to remain Kansen.
Right.
But how did you choose this Tansen field? म्हणजे लहानपणापासून होतं?
हो. So basically I've learned tabla. I've been playing tabla for a few years now. I'm not playing it anymore because my profession has in a way changed, but it's in a way same as well.
Right.
Because I'm still as a sound professional. But tabla लहानपणापासून शिकल्यामुळे I always had an ear for good sound. What is sounding good and what is not sounding not sounding good. So अगदी लहानपणापासून काही शोज होते आपल्या टीव्हीवर जेवढ्या सुपर्ब गोष्टींचा ऍक्सेस होता त्या सगळ्याला मी आय वॉज व्हेरी कीन ऑन लिसनिंग टू गुड साऊंड इन अ वे. आणि वन ऑफ द व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग्स इन माय लाईफ वॉज की बाबांनी मला खूप सुपर्ब लहानपणापासून शिकवलंय.
Was he also a part of this industry?
No. He was a banker. He's a retired banker. पण he loves music. So त्यांनी मला खूप स्पेसिफिक सुंदर गोष्टींना इंट्रोड्यूस केलं. सो जे संस्कार व्हायला लागतात लहानपणापासून ते परफेक्ट होत गेले की यानी ऐक, झाकीरबाई ऐक, शक्ती ऐक किंवा संतूर ऐक, यांचं ऐक, त्यांचं ऐक, सवाई गंधर्वला घेऊन जाणं लहानपणापासून. सो तो कान तयार व्हायची जी स्टेज असते फॉर एनी ह्युमन, दॅट वॉज द परफेक्ट टाइम वेन आय वॉज ॲक्च्युअली एक्सपोज्ड अँड इंट्रोड्यूस टू ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स.
राईट.
सो नॅचरली इंटरेस्टिंग गोष्टी राहत गेल्या माझ्याबरोबर. आणि तबला आणि म्युझिकची ओढ होती लहानपणापासून. आणि इव्हेंच्युअली एका पॉइंटला वेन आय हॅड टू डिसाईड की व्हॉट इज द करियर दॅट आय वॉन्ट टू चूज, बिकॉज आय ऑल्सो लव्ह फोटोग्राफी. आणि आय हॅव अ ह्यूज रिस्पेक्ट फॉर सिनेमॅटोग्राफर्स, फोटोग्राफर्स, ऑल ऑफ दीज गाईज. कारण मला आवडतं आणि इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट जॉब, इट इज अ डेडिकेटेड स्टफ. सो एक पॉईंट जेव्हा आला, जेव्हा आय हॅड टू चूज दिस, तेव्हा मला असा विचार आला की आय वॉन्ट टू वर्क विथ अ मीडियम जे मला मटेरियल वाईज काही फील न करता काम करता येईल त्याच्याबरोबर. म्हणजे इन द सेन्स की वी कॅन लुक एट थिंग्स, वी कॅन चेंज माय फ्रेम, आय कॅन मूव्ह थिंग्स, आय कॅन मेक दिस फ्रेम इंटरेस्टिंग, आय कॅन चेंज द लाईट, वॉट एव्हर इट इज. बट माय फ्रेम, इफ आय एम अ साऊंड इंजिनियर, is vast and it's very difficult to manipulate that.
True.
So I can't, like, these things are limitations, like a car going, I have to still derive a method and devise ways to get the best audio in that. May it be production sound, may it be sound designing for that matter. So sound designing is what essentially we are filtering out things. आपण जे आवडत नाही ते काढत जातो.
एक्झॅक्टली.
या व्हिडिओचं एडिटिंग जे तुम्हाला वाटेल की हे इंटरेस्टिंग नाही ते काढणार आपण.
सो इट वॉज so you don't connect the dots backwards. You actually filtered out things that you don't want, and then ultimately you chose this as your career. Consciously chose it. आणि it's always like that. म्हणजे I feel की आत्ता जी मी स्टेप करतोय, that is going to help for a better tomorrow. Right. May it be in life or my profession. So one good step, correct step right now is going to result in a better post-production in the post. Right. That sound person who is sitting, who doesn't know me, is going to be very happy with good audio. If I go wrong right now, he is going to spend 2-3 hours cleaning my wrong. Right. That should not happen. So it's like it's a step by step. It's like
It's a derivative process. If there's wrong in step 1, it is going to be wrong in step 2. Or else you'll have to spend time in clearing that, which is going to waste your energy, time, money, everything. So it's kind of that. So तसं ते होत गेलं की कॉन्शियस डिसिजन आधी नव्हता, पण डिसिजन करायची वेळेला तेव्हा ते कॉन्शियसली झालं, पण त्याचा रस्ता असा होता की ओके हे नकोय, हे मला आवडत नाहीये, किंवा हे गाणी नाही आवडायची, किंवा हे साऊंड इंटरेस्टिंग आहे, ह्याच्यातनं आपण काहीतरी करू शकतो, असं ते होत गेलं.
व्हेरी व्हेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. अँड म्हणजे यू स्पोक अबाउट साऊंड डिझाईन.
सो I'll first speak as a production sound mixer.
Yeah, what exactly is production sound mixing?
Okay. So production sound mixing is basically, if we look at it in a straight way, simple terms, it is basically recording. This is what I'm speaking right now as a person in the frame, and the person who's recording me right now, this is the production sound basically. So I have to record whatever is seen in the frame in a simple term, but more it's way more than that actually, because there are so many things that will affect my job as a production sound mixer, which is small things like costume, what is the production designer using as property. For example, you were sitting on the chair and you said ki iska chak chak awaaz aa raha hai. That is not good for me. So every possible step, if I can make things correct for me, for the betterment of the project, is also involved as in the process of production sound. So to look at it, it is just recording what is being shot. Okay, the dialogues, the performance of the actor is what I am recording, to look at it in a way.
Correct.
But to get that thing correct, there's a whole lot of process which goes before the actual scene happens on the set. So once the budgets and everything is done, script is obviously read before the budget, because I need to know what my work is going to be and what am I expected to do in this film. So ते एकदा सगळं झालं की I would insist on going for a tech recce. टेक रेकी इज बेसिकली दिस. सो एक पॉइंट येतो जेव्हा डिरेक्टरनी आणि डीओपीनी, सिनेमॅटोग्राफरनी, दे हॅव लॉक्ड फ्यू लोकेशन्स विच दे फील आर गुड अँड वुड वर्क फॉर द नॅरेटिव्ह. ओके, बट देर विल बी पॉइंट्स वेन देर आर इश्यूज फॉर अदर डिपार्टमेंट्स ऑन दॅट पर्टिक्युलर लोकेशन्स. सो फॉर अलाइनिंग ऑल द डिपार्टमेंट्स इज वाय टेक रेकी इज डन. ओके, सो प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन वाला कुछ बोलेगा, साउंड डिजाइनर या फिर प्रोडक्शन साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट कुछ बोलेगा, प्रोडक्शन के कुछ अदर लॉजिस्टिक्स रहेंगे कि वैनिटी कहाँ लगाएंगे, ये कहाँ वो कहाँ. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट हैज टू बी केटर्ड. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट हैपन्स ड्यूरिंग द टेक रेकी. ओके, and my job as a production sound recordist during the tech recce is to clear off all the problems that I might face by foreseeing them, by anticipating them. Ki, for example, today is what, May, for example. We are maybe recording this podcast in May, let's consider, and September में गणपति रहने वाले हैं, and we are going on floor in September for some reason, whatever. Actors के dates नहीं है, locations नहीं मिल रहे, for whatever reason, I need to know there is going to be Ganpati. Okay, there will be processions all around, which is not good for me because it is going to disturb, it will create
theme of the
noise for my dialogue. Not just the theme, I won't be able to record clean audio because there will be processions all around.
Right.
So I need to anticipate during the shooting days what is the climate, what will be the situation. Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be rainy?
Raining,
Yeah. Is it going to be, are the actors wearing winter clothes? Because as I said, हे जर मी आत टाकला माईक तर ह्याच्यात रसल येईल. आत्ता मी खूप हालत नाहीये, पण when it is a production in which there are certain scenes which are directed, you can't expect an actor to be this. It'll be nonsense. You can't. अगर मी ऐसे डायलॉग बोललो भी तर काय मजा नाही येणार. So the person has to be free. He will be directed to go around. He might probably get up from here, walk. So all of that is going to add up to the noise. What is the noise? If he is wearing winter clothes, I'll get rustle. So I have to collaborate with the costume department. I have to collaborate with the production designers to see if the actor is going to sit on a specific chair. I need to give my specifications there. कि ये ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. If it is a wooden chair, you find something that is not making noise. If the actor is going to go around with some kurkure packet or some chips, you cheat it with something that will look like it is an original pack, but it is not making that noise. Because he is going to eat while saying the dialogues. So अगर मेरे dialogue पे चरचर आएगा, it is insanely difficult to clean it in the post.
Right.
So it is always superb and correct and always right to do the correct thing during documenting, like during recording that. Right. First step is to record good sound. So good sound is all of this. It's not just so if it's a film set, you really have to have your knowledge as an extension of your body, because you really are managing people, their egos, getting your collaborations correct, getting the productions to work for you, trying to convince actors and directors to give a retake for you, because you can't control a bullet going outside. You can't control somebody honking on your dialogue. You can't control some machine going crazy. Some light ka booster going mad. Everything will, it is not for you. It is not conducive. So you need to find ways to get these people to work for you. And it's not that, ultimately it is for the betterment of that film.
Correct.
So I need to explain to them, they need to have that confidence in me that मैं ऐसे ही नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. Or it was not my mistake because of which I am asking a retake. It was genuinely a problem and they need to trust me on that. So production sound is not just recording the dialogue in the specific scene. It is managing all of these things. Getting people to work for you, cooperate for you. Getting the costume department to get good material, which won't be rustling. Which won't be rustling, which won't be crazy for you. Getting the production designers to get good the property for you. And eventually after that on set, there are few things which you need to address. So for example, now in my team, normally what I do is I have 2 or 3 people along with me. So there will be one boom man who is the first boom operator. Then there will be a second boom operator. And there will be somebody called utility or an attendant. Okay. So what these people do is, the first boom man is basically in charge of recording, booming basically, not recording. So for example, if I am the subject, he is actually booming. There is a boom on top of my head, okay, on a boom pole, and that has been manually operated.
Right.
Okay. So the boom man is actually expected to boom the subject for the time length of that scene or the shot, not scene. So imagine
following.
Yes, he has to follow at the specific distance which I have asked him to do, and with different microphones that also changes, and with different projections of the actors that changes.
Wow.
So for example, if I am loud, I would ask him to go a little up. But then if I am being loud and also moving around, he has to keep that distance and also follow me. Yes. And that can go up till 5, 10, 20 minutes. Okay.
Wow.
So it is a very specialized job. It is something that you need to really work on.
Right.
It is heavily physically demanding, but it is also mentally demanding. Because you need to put your body through that, and you need to tell yourself that this is what I'm doing and we have to nail it. Right. There are points, there are times when the scene is so emotional that you can't actually go and ask the actor to auric. वो नहीं हो सकता. They are emoting. We are here to document that delicate performance of the actors.
Right.
Correct? We are not here to tell them कि और एक बार करो. Although audio is equally important, there are points where we need to understand कि I can't cross this line because this is something that you can't repeat. But if at all it has to happen, it will happen. Then you need to have a good rapport with the director and the production to convince them, sir, आपको ये वापस रोना पड़ेगा. आपको वापस emotional scene dialogue देना पड़ेगा.
Right.
Because this is what I have faced.
Does it happen the other way around also? Like, do actors say that, oh, ये मेरा take अच्छा नहीं है,
yes,
I have to. So then you have to again ensure everything is then properly in place.
That is okay. I don't mind doing that.
Okay.
I won't mind ever doing that.
How was your experience with the Elephant Whisperer? I mean, I'm sure it must have been a completely different experience shooting indoors versus shooting in a completely wild zone.
Actually, not just that. It's a very different experience, I would say, because not because I was in some insane unknown territory. Not just that. The main difference is it was fiction and non-fiction. Is a fiction.
Yeah, a fiction, correct.
And this was a non-fiction. We had to find a narrative when we went there. There was obviously a line on which we were supposed to work, like हाथी के आजू बाजू में काम करेंगे. But all of that was acquired on set, like not on set, but when we were filming.
Right.
So there are different fronts at which you will face the difficulty. For me specifically, if I am a production sound mixer, Main thing is the language. Okay. Second is nothing is planned. You have to anticipate what will happen next, even if you don't understand the language. Okay. So what I did was like what I normally do, not just for this project, was if I am working with people who are non-Marathi, non-Hindi or non-English, something that I don't understand, I try to dissect and understand the musicality of that language. Okay. Every language has its own musicality, and in that specific language, I will talk Marathi in a different way. You will talk in a different way.
Yeah.
You will call your mother Ai in a different way. I will call my mother Ai in a different way. Same, I will call my Ai in a different way. If I have to express certain things. If I have to express Ai he karna yaar, Ai. So this is very musical. Similarly, every language has its own musicality. Correct? So what I normally do is I try to understand that musicality, through which I can decode the punctuation of that language. Where are the full stops? What is the comma? What is the point at which probably I think they might start expressing and emoting, and maybe that will lead to maybe crying for that matter. So first maybe a day or two, I always try and be aware of every damn thing that is coming to me. I am like a sponge. Just absorb everything that the person is trying to give.
Yeah.
Because if I don't understand what your body language is, I won't be able to anticipate where to put my boom. Because nothing is planned. I don't know what you're going to speak.
Right.
Suddenly there will be a rush of emotions and I'll start shouting. Not me, but
of course.
The subject would start shouting, or it might be an extremely emotional thing. There were times when there were subjects that didn't fall in the final edit of the film, but we had obviously filmed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So there were times when these people were so emotional speaking about elephants that they were like very emotional. You need to anticipate that, and you can't anticipate if you don't know the punctuation and the musicality of that language.
Right. Right.
So all of these things are something you need to be a sponge first 2-3 days, and it's every day that you learn.
Right.
So I make it a point that every time, even if it's like 4th or 5th or 10th day of the filming, I'll ask certain words to my assistant directors, to the people in the production who are local, who are the line producers. कि इसका मीनिंग क्या था, ये क्या है, what is rand, what is whatever, naal. So
yeah,
I'll ask what are the numbers, what is 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
I need to know basics of that, so that बड़े से sentence में अगर छोटा सा ये आके गया, तो I understand the context. Is it related to the question that was asked? Because we have translators on the set, but I also need to know if this sounded correct. So that point, even if I don't know the language, I have to tell my director, probably we should do one more take because it didn't sound that way.
That way.
I felt, as a person not understanding the language, I felt it is something else. So there's some other meaning coming out of it. Maybe. I might be wrong because I don't understand fully the language, but that is what happened. Then there is a very healthy discussion that happens, and then if they agree on that, we go for another take. But that 1% is also important.
It is important, yeah.
To get the correct thing in the final edit. If I am losing myself, if I am lost, it won't be possible. In a simple term, my job was to just go and record. But that's not what I'm doing. If I have to give that little extra thing, this is how I'll put my color.
That sounds so complex, man. I mean, and for a film like or a documentary like The Elephant Whisperer, how long did the shoot take?
It took us around 3 years.
Wow.
But the whole process was like 5 years.
Right.
Kartiki was in since whatever time.
Right.
She's also spent her childhood in those areas because she's originally from Uti.
Right.
So that was there, and then I think a year or so she did the research and the basic first steps of everything.
Right.
And then she got in the producer and all of that is all history. Like they have that in the interviews.
Right.
So that is there, but the actual principal photography was like 3 years, and it was peppered around. Like it was not a constant, continuous schedule like a fiction would be.
Correct.
So we were actually following their life. So we see the elephants grow up in the film. You know?
Yeah.
So that all is there, and the actual them getting married and all of that. So it is time sensitive. It is real time.
Yeah.
So all of the shoot was peppered around all these 3 years. We used to go there, come back, then derive something out of what we have shot, then understand.
I can't imagine you going there every single day, even if it's for like 3-4 days continuous. I mean, doing all these things consecutively on 3-4 days. I mean,
no, actually,
is it too exhausting?
No. That's what I said. The knowledge that you have should be an extension of your body. It has to be a muscle memory.
Right.
You can't spend your time on correct gain staging on the set. You need to know this is what is being given to me. This is the information. This is probably somewhere I'll be working around.
Right.
Obviously, detail आएगा. 1-2 takes के बाद you'll understand कि this is where I'm going to. This is my threshold. I don't want to go beyond this. Or this is the way I'm going to mic them. Or this is the situations that I might face. So anticipating all of those, I am going to be prepared this way. So all of that happens in first 2-3 days. But after that, if I have to give that extra little thing, these are the things you need to know. You can't spend your time in the basics. कि phone चालू कैसे करे? इसमें time गया तो I won't understand how to use this to document you.
Correct.
Or for that matter, record.
Yeah.
So if I kept myself busy in these things, I would have never understood what am I surrounded with? What is it that is making these people what they are? I need to document that. So what is it that it is making them what they are?
Right.
It is the sound all around me. It is the ambience. It is the animals in this jungle. It is how they understand and perceive small changes in the jungle. I'll tell you one interesting thing. In the last schedule of Elephant Whisperers, we landed in Coimbatore, and it was around 6 hours drive from the Coimbatore airport to Masinagudi and Bokkapuram, where we were staying.
Okay.
So Mudumalai Tiger Reserve is around that area where the filming happened, and we got down from the, I forgot the name of the ghat. We climb up to Ooty, and from the other side of Ooty we have to get down to go to this tiger reserve. So we got down from there, and everything was lush green. We were shooting in summers. Okay? Everything was lush green. I was extremely pleased and happy. This is what I'm going to experience all whatever number of days I'm here now. It's amazing. Pure oxygen, superb green surroundings. Wow. But that was short-lived. I'll tell you why. Obviously, we used to have language and forest experts with us during the filming, because we were in a restricted area. So we were not allowed to go randomly as we would otherwise. If we were shooting in a city, nobody would care where we are going. Exactly. So there were time limits, there were places where we were not allowed for security and safety. So the experts told me, this is not actually the correct thing which is happening. It is all because of climate change. Right now we are looking at monsoon blossoms. These butterflies, what we are looking at, are because of the monsoon blossoms, and right now it is not monsoon, and they will only get out of their cocoon only when these flowers will bloom, and these flowers are from the monsoon, and right now it is not monsoon. So what you're looking at is actually not a good sign. It is an effect of climate change.
Oh.
Okay. And then it came down to me like, I don't know what, like it was a full heavy thing, man. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But you feel responsible at times, because we are, in a way, we are at the end humans, and we have done all of this in a way. So while filming parallelly, all of these things happen. You get to experience these things, but you also get to introspect, look within, understand and obviously gather experiences and enrich yourself, and all of that happens.
Right.
So parallelly, all of these things are happening. So it is actually never exhausting if it becomes a muscle memory. So you are actually open to gather all of this and understand and grasp, and maybe make a small change if you can later.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask you, you said that, so until now we are talking about mics, which are carried by people, and you said at a certain length, and what is it?
Boom mic. It's
Boom
called
mic.
a shotgun mic.
Shotgun
But
mic.
the whole setting is a boom microphone. Boom pole and a mic at the end.
And a mic at the end. So what are the other types of microphones that are used, say in areas such as It could be fiction, it could be a non-fiction. In non-fiction, no microphones attached to people.
There
right?
can be. It's not like a hard and fast thing. This is what is right and that is wrong. ऐसा कहीं भी नहीं है.
Right.
But yeah, there are different types of microphones, and a good, like, a production sound mixer should understand obviously the uses of it.
Right.
Like, it's similarly like this lens would give you a wider frame, and
Right.
that lens would let you go close to the subject.
Correct.
Similarly, there are microphones which will record wider. The field of recording is like, the capturing field is like a wider this thing.
Right.
And there are certain microphones which are very directional. So, which are good to use if, for example, if I'm shooting in a noisy location. If you're filming in a noisy location, it is good to have like extremely directional microphones.
Acha.
But these lavs are normally omnidirectional. They'll capture everything, but my body also plays a part in isolating it, isolating my voice. So this is actually isolating anything coming from the back.
Right.
Even though it is an omnidirectional mic,
Right.
my body is sort of a barrier.
Barrier to that. Right.
It will still capture those, but not at the level or the amplitude that will be a problem, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So there are certain mics which are good to be used at specific locations or in specific situations. So there are certain recording formats which we like to go with. So for example, during the Elephant Whisperers or any other film, like even or any other film that we do, as I said, it's not just about the dialogues. What is going to make the fiction believable is if it sounds as natural as possible. So the way you perceive me right now speaking to you is not a clean dialogue in an anechoic chamber. Okay. When I speak, you also get a sense of space. Correct? There is a decay to it. There is a reverb to it.
Yeah.
It's not dead. Okay. There is a tail to whatever I am producing, whatever noise or sound I am emitting. So every time I am listening to somebody else, I also understand the surrounding. I also understand what is probably the location. We sound different in a bathroom.
Yeah.
We sound different in a living room.
Yeah.
We sound different in a parking.
Right.
It is the same voice, but still you can recognize that voice as him or her. But you can differentiate between the locations.
Locations. Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So all of these situations will affect the choice of microphone that we do.
Right.
That we'll choose.
Right.
There are recording formats which are called stereo recording, mono recording, surround recording. Nowadays we can also record surround sound. So there are microphones which are 5.1.
Wow.
Okay. There is binaural recording. So stereo is just we put two mics and we record the state that it can record, the angle. Correct. In binaural, what happens is, so for example, this is a mic.
Yeah.
My left ear is a mic. I'm listening through this. Microphone is also an ear in a way. It is listening to the sound.
Correct.
So this sound is going to listen, this ear is going to listen anything coming from the right. Correct. It is not that I can't listen with my left ear things coming from the right. Is because I am able to perceive that this is coming from the right also. Like in a way, partly.
Correct.
It's not a full thing, but so what binaural recording allows me to do is this. The mics are actually positioned in a similar way ears are positioned on a human head.
Right.
Okay. So the microphones will be like this, planted like this, the way my ears are.
Ears are.
And left will be listening to the things coming from the right. Right will be listening to things coming from the left. And the sum of it that we listen to is binaural recording. And why we are able to perceive or more than perceive, locate the direction of the sound is because of this. Because we are listening to the mix of both the signals.
Correct.
Through which we understand कि right side से ये distance से something is coming near to me or going far away. Okay. So that is binaural recording. It is more close to how we listen to, but it is not needed that it will always work for a film or a documentary or whatever.
That's right.
So, so there are formats that you need to choose from. There are microphones that you can choose from.
Right.
And all of this also has to happen, decided post a discussion with the sound designer. Because ultimately all of your stuff is going to go to him or her,
Right.
who is a sound designer,
Right.
and they are going to design the film, design the soundscape of that film, right? So if they have certain things that they have in their mind, I need to cater to that as well. So for example, I might get a brief that we need a stereo ambience here. There is no option to that. Or else we need a surround ambience over here. Because the location is so vast that it will be very difficult to create that feel in the
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
So it is better to record surround ambience then and there itself. Okay. So all of that also affects the decisions, and even during the filming of Elephant Whisperers also, there were so many points at which I felt this has to go in the documentary. So essentially, the process of sound designing actually happens on the location when the filming starts, or rather when my pre-production has started.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Because as I said, it is a domino effect. One small wrong step is going to give me Russell. Russell is going to end up 2 hours in the studio cleaning that dialogue, is going to end up bad audio. Cleaned audio never sounds good. You record it correct. Simple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so even during the filming of Elephant Whisperers, I had to make sure that I am giving enough ambience library to the post guy or the sound designer, because they need to have options. I can't give that much material in which they'll be stuck with just 1 or 2 options. That is not good for a film. If I am actually able to give 3-4 options for a certain type of ambience. So for example, the location was so dynamic. Okay, the location was so extremely dynamic. It was never the same every night.
Right.
So outside my cottage there was a small, this room-sized pond. Okay, a small swamp sort of a setting. Not setting. It was actual this thing. The thing. So because of climate change, it also rained randomly in between.
Yeah.
So first 4-5 days, it was not raining. It had rained before we arrived, but we could feel that it has rained recently, but it didn't for first 4-5 days. Okay. The ambience was extremely different. I had crickets, cicadas in the evening. Afternoon, cicadas never used to shut down because it is jungle.
Yeah.
They are going to live. It's breathing.
Yeah.
You can't. I have stopped associating crickets with the city life anymore. Do you listen to crickets in city at night?
No, absolutely not.
They can't live here. So cicadas will start in the afternoon. Crickets are there all around, and suddenly one evening it rained. This whole ambience changed. It was only swamp, frogs. That's
God.
The exact same location.
So the continuity takes a big blow then.
Yeah, that is one thing. But in a documentary, there are certain things that you can sort of let go. But that happened, and that is the beauty of the place. That's what makes those people what they are also. So these small things contribute. What am I? I like to use this phone, this, that. I have a laptop at home, my car is there, all of that is making what I am. Right. What you will perceive me as is through whatever I take baggage all in my head. है ना? तो उनका कुछ है ही नहीं. They are very close to nature. तो वो सब था. So all of this, you imagine how to document
Dynamism. That. So who are the people who are, I mean, can you name these people who are involved in this sound? I don't know what is it called, but sound landscape, just for lack of better word.
The whole
sound thing.
Yeah, there are so many people involved in a sound department for a film to get that done. Obviously, I won't go through the hierarchy in a way, and hierarchy is not. It's like
it's a collaboration.
Yeah, it's a collaboration and it's a process. There is a step 1 after which there will be a step 2. So step 1 के लिए ये अलग आदमी है, step 2 के लिए ये अलग आदमी है.
Right.
That's how I'll explain that.
Right.
So first is obviously the sound designer and the production sound mixer. If it is the same person, then sorted. If it is not, these guys have to come up and take decisions that I mentioned earlier.
Correct.
In the production sound team, there'll be a production sound mixer, which is the part that I play. Then there is the first boom operator. if the budget and the production allows, there'll be a second boom operator. If not, there'll be a second boom operator come attendant. Okay, that's a standard team in India. There are bigger production sound mixers who have a bigger team as well, like 2 boom ops constantly, 1 or 2 utility guys, all of that is there.
Right.
Then on the set itself, like during the filming process itself, a secondary part of my team is the sound blocking team, which is the security. Okay, I can't expect everybody from the direction team or the production team to go and shut everybody up. Okay, there are 200-300 people on a set at any given moment, depending on how big the production is or how big the film is. There are at any given time there will be at least 200 people on a set. There will be catering department, there will be some other electronics, lighting department, sound department, camera ke log, iske log, uske log. It's difficult to control all this and to request or ask them to not speak. Shut up. Yes, correct. So there is a sound blocking team, security team, which is normally consists of 6 to 8 people. Or if it's a bigger location, I'll have a 10 sound blocking team. So what their job is to just one guy is with me on the set, and he will be coordinating and communicating with his team. And all of them will be planted wherever I wish or they think is going to be noisy. This point, we might have to shut these people. So if it is an actual location, they'll have somebody at the entrance of the building, somebody at the catering department, somebody at the carpentry department, somebody outside at the lighting team, or wherever people are, we'll have one man planted.
Right.
And they will actually announce quiet or silence or whatever. So that is also part of production sound team. But they also cater to general security of the set as well. That is there. Then all of this material goes to the designer. Okay. In designing, there are different people who will address different things. So there is something called dialogue editing. What the dialogue editor will do is, whatever I have recorded or whatever the production sound mixer has recorded, all of that material goes to him. Post edit is locked. Okay. Once the edit is locked, the dialogue editor will receive the cut, and the dialogue editor will start editing and working on the dialogues.
Okay.
What that includes is, if during the shoot the production sound mixer has mentioned something in his note or her note, either you might have to clean, there is certain issue, this was the horn on that dialogue, but we could not go for a retake because of whatever, time constraints, senior actor, or whatever reason. So all of that notes have to go from me, because that is one thing, because I am not going to meet the last person in this chain, because I will be busy on some another set when this production post is happening. Because today I have filmed, and that film goes for post production after 6-7 months. I'm not going to wait for that. So I will be on some other set filming, recording something. So I have to make sure that I am communicating clearly with the post guy. It can be as basic as, at 3 seconds there was a horn, it continued till 3.5.
Wow.
It can be as basic and detailed as that. That is how clear communication is necessary, because that is the chain and that is the information that those people will carry and look into your work.
Right.
If they have the clear thing, what will help them is, they will not lose time searching for problems. They will know from my notes where the problem lies already. So they can address it first thing. Then obviously according to their taste or the sound designer's taste, they can address other issues.
Right. So it's very complex, isn't it? I mean, noting down every single thing, and then in a way that the people along the chain understand that.
Yes. And it has to happen that way. There is no excuse to it.
Okay.
Because as I said, I'm not going to speak with that person. There is rarely a call from that guy, "Arey, idhar kuch hua tha kya?" This should not happen actually. They should have clear instructions and information notes from me.
Right.
From a production sound mixer. So that is there. So the dialogue editor will do phase matching, whatever. So if I am recording one shot with multiple microphones, he has an option to choose what mics sound the best.
Sounds great. Huh.
So what is working for this sequence? So for example, if there is a mic which I've planted a little further away from the whole room perspective, if there is something very near to the source, and the scene is such that everything is shot like a wide magnification, wide mag, and suddenly at a point where they have to get the most insane expressions of the actor, they'll move close. So for that, he might probably use my lavaliers because that gives a proximity. Because it's close to the source. तो उसमें थोड़ा room कम करके वो so he'll play with all of my signals and tracks that I have given.
Right.
Then parallelly, what happens is there is a person called Foley artist. So Foley is basically whatever diegetic sounds are or non-diegetic sounds. So for example, let's consider I'm sitting here and you had the director has asked me to come and sit. So come and sit and do this. So isme there are footsteps, my cloth rustle, when I sit there is a squeak of the chair, then I do adjust my position, then I do this, I do all of that.
Yeah.
So obviously breaths and all is not part of Foley, but all of this is part of Foley. Diegetic sound is basically whatever action you see in the frame is diegetic sound. Like all of those the sounds basically what you would associate with those actions will be diegetic sounds.
Right.
And non-diegetic is something that you will make to complete the action. So I was not in the frame, but you need to understand that I walked from somewhere and then came and sat here.
Right.
So मेरे footsteps जो frame के बाहर थे, वो अगर वहाँ पे phone बजा और मैं phone पे बात करते करते यहाँ पे आके बैठा, and then yeah cut, okay चलो bye, yes, this is what I did. So all of that is non-diegetic, which was not in the frame, but that completes my action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So all that
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Great.
So that is something the Foley guy will take care of.
Okay.
And again, in Foley there is a team of 3 people. One is Foley artist who is actually a performer. Okay. He has to put himself or herself in the shoes of the actor and try and understand the emotion of that scene and then do that. So for example, if it is a simple scene of where I'm keeping the phone, but my emotion right now is calm. If I am approaching, if I have, like there is some jhagada outside and I'm like full hot head, I'm coming inside and dham karke maine phone rakha. It is the same action. What is it? Phone rakhna hai. But there is a certain emotion in that.
Right.
So the Foley artist needs to put him or herself in the shoes of the actor and to understand what is the scene demanding.
Right.
If I have to do this or this or this or this. Same actions with different tones and textures and sounds.
Wow.
Okay?
My God. It's so creative. And
it is all of these all of these departments are actually creative and technical. My end, it has to be creative. Otherwise, I won't be able to understand what should go in the film if I don't understand the script. Okay, this guy needs to understand the emotion of the acting. Otherwise, he'll do some nonsense, wrong sound for that.
Yeah.
It won't work. Then comes the editor, who is actually recording all of these Foley, and he'll also sync it to the action. Okay.
Right.
That is the Foley department.
So that's all on a different track, and then the scenes are on a different.
Yes,
track.
These are all different sessions. Dialogue editor is sitting somewhere.
My God. Okay.
Foley artist is sitting somewhere in some studio.
Chinese whispers don't work.
So Foley edit happens. Then कौन से sessions हो गए? Dialogue edit का session we got it. Then we got Foley. Then there is something called track laying. Okay. So the sound designer will have his own assistants, or if it's just one person team, he will do it himself or herself. So that person will have what that person does is he will start designing the film by laying certain sounds which he has received from the production sound mixer or from his or her library. Okay, and start jamming with the edit. Okay, improvising with the edit by placing some sounds, fading them at certain points, changing their tonality, textures, all of that. What works best for that scene, for the overall theme of the film, and for that particular scene that he's working on.
Right.
And he eventually gets these 2 sessions. Dialogue edit ka session aayega, Foley ka session aayega, and then will be the point wherein he actually starts the detailed, intricate process of sound designing that film, designing sound for that film. What I mean is, in which the process of removing stuff also comes in.
Okay.
You can't have every sound of everything that can make sound. Okay, it is not useful for that scene. So, so for example, let's take this only. I came and sat here. I have a very good energy right now. There is a nice rapport between you and me. So I am also moving, but this chair is also making sound. Okay, but there will be certain conversations when this conversation is so intense that these sounds are actually going to hinder or interrupt. So that is the point where he will decide कि ये नहीं चाहिए, ये चाहिए, इसको निकाल देते हैं, ये foley में था but ये ज़रूरी नहीं है. So that is where designing part comes in. According to his sensibilities and the demand of the demand of the script and the briefing from the director, he will start getting up stuff which works for the sound for the best delivery of that emotion of that particular scene. So yeah, so sound designer will say do the things. There'll be iterations, there'll be drafts, there'll be versions of the sound design, whatever works, and then finally the film goes for the mix. This has to be decided before going on floor. Like if it is a stereo film, a 5.1 surround film, or an Atmos or whatever, there are many factors that will affect this decision, but these are the formats which are available, and that has to be decided before we go on floor, ideally. Because then the production sound mix, right from the production sound mixer, you can take decisions which are good for that format. Like recording surround, for example. Okay, the dialogue editor will know that these are the things that I have to do which will sound good in stereo or surround, whatever the final format is going to be.
Right.
So the film goes for a final mix, and there it is actual theatre. The final mix happens in actual theatre-sized studio. Okay, you can't mix a final film in a chotu room. You can, it's not ideal, because if we are, it's best to mix it in the place which resembles the final place where the people will consume this.
Correct.
So if people are going to consume in a theatre, you mix the film in a theatre. If people are consuming this on Netflix or any other OTT, you address that mix in that way, particular way. So there are different mixing rooms now. That is a new thing. There are different mixing rooms. Certain mixing rooms are good for theatre mixes. Certain mixing rooms are good for OTT mixes. Then there are different loudness norms, which are, certain loudness norms are working best for theatres. There are other loudness norms which will work good for YouTube or other OTT platforms, or all of that.
Right. What happens with the multiple format? Like for example, a movie which is released in theatre also appears on Amazon Prime.
Right.
So would this be again redoctored or?
Yeah. So ideally it has to be. So that is doable.
Right.
So that is there. And yeah, then the film is delivered in whichever format with n number of deliveries that OTT demands.
Right.
Dialogue separate, ye separate, woo separate, all of that happens.
Language separate and
yeah,
dubbing.
-1, yeah.
Wow.
Dubbing, yeah.
Wow. So that's kind of such a big canvas. My God, amazing. In India, we have a story to tell, and there are some ambient sounds which are very, very peculiar to India.
Correct.
Which probably people abroad might not have heard.
Yeah.
Are they more receptive to these kind of sounds, varied sounds, and maybe music?
Yeah.
Usage of instruments, different instruments.
Yeah.
Now with A.R. Rahman, there are new instruments being invented every, every year.
Yeah.
So, are these people more receptive to sounds and noises which are found in a specific country or species?
They are, I would say. They are very open to anything that is new. First thing is that. And they love something that comes from any tradition. Okay. So, may it be music, may it be clothes, may it be whatever. Okay. Some literature, whatever. So, that is to there. But I have never seen any, what to say, it has always been positive from the outside world, I think, because they have always welcomed the Indian sounds because they sound different to them. The way we perceive music and our time signatures and the ragas and everything that the music in India has like sort of grown through and grown with or developed on is always intriguing for them. So that is there. I think the best examples are Shakti,
Yeah.
if you have heard
Yeah,
Shakti,
of course, yeah.
it's like the thing. Trilokji.
Yeah, true.
Trilokji is so Indian, but Shakti is like John McLaughlin who made this.
Yeah. With the evolution of the digital technology and now AI, what do you think is going to happen to this sound industry? Is it going to evolve, or is it going to evolve back? I'm coming from a point where the experts is the sound going to be composed based on an AI command, or do we have to or is there going to be a lot of struggle for the technicians to sort of create the sounds, or to handle the technical part of the sound?
Yeah. So AI will definitely play a part, is what I feel. And invariably, we have been giving permissions to these softwares since last 10 years. There is something called sound diffusion or an image diffusion in every software that we use. Every DAW, everything that is made. It's basically you're giving them permission to learn from the way you approach your things. Okay. So these softwares know your data since last 10, 15 years. So you have given it already.
Already, okay.
That is there. Your apps, every damn thing. Okay. The way you would play, understand, there are music apps. The way you would create something out of it. What sounds good to your psyche or understanding or taste. Yeah. We have given permission. So all of that is there with them.
Right.
But interestingly, the acknowledgement, like it's not as acknowledged as a human would do it. Okay. The things produced by an AI, if it is music, so for example, just recently the head of Grammy denied to give any acknowledgement and credibility to music made by AI.
Right.
Okay. So they won't be considering those for awards.
Awards, yeah.
Which is in a way very great, I feel, because awards are for humans, not for machines.
For computers, yeah.
That is one thing. But parallelly, what I feel is these things are going to ease the process. So there were things in past which were extremely difficult to achieve. If we imagine a simple linear editing timeline, for example, audio timeline or a video timeline, we always have layers on it. Okay. If it is a video, there will be some animation over live action, some VFX, all of that. Okay. If it is audio, I'll have 10 different sounds which have to play at that particular moment. Dialogue है, music है, ये है, वो है. और डायलॉग पे मैंने कुछ फॉली किया है, पीछे से एम्बियंस आ रहा है. So these, to have this privilege of looking at these layers in front of you and deciding कि मुझे ये layer solo करके सुनना है, and to edit that real time then and there itself is a very big privilege which is only happened because of technology.
Right.
Okay. Right. So in a way, obviously we are going to go way more ahead than this. Right. This also is very old now. To have softwares is also very old now. We have been using software since 10, 20 years now.
Right.
Right. So there will be points and places and blanks wherein AI is going to fill up very beautifully, as I feel. And I think we should be welcoming to that at a certain level. For me at least, I won't go till the point where my job is done by AI. I will only go till the point where AI is helping me to do my job more efficiently.
Efficiently.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is where I think I would stop in a way. I won't let AI step across that. And I think that will be a sort of a collective responsibility as well as industry professionals to not let that happen.
Yeah.
Because then there would be no sense.
The licenses and
exactly. I mean, AI can write scripts and all, man. Come on. I mean, what? It's doing translations. It's writing scripts, ad scripts and paragraphs and what not, man. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
As long as it's letting you support and like increase your efficiency and output, it is great. Once it starts overstepping you and doing things that like, there are points like.
Then men will be destroyed. I mean, women don't listen to us. AI doesn't listen. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, that's a different game. Women don't listen to us, but you're right in a way.
How can one pursue a career in your field? So if an aspiring say sound engineer or sound designer or production sound mixer what are the qualifications that he or she would need or they would need in order to?
I think there are two things in this. One is definitely educate, definitely do a proper course. It's not YouTube University. You need to do a proper course. You need to understand the physics. You need to understand the behavior of the sound waves, everything. Like it is a proper science. You need to understand what it does. And second thing is setting up correct perspectives. Because even if you know how and what it does, you need to have that creative sensibilities to understand. First thing to understand that nothing is bad actually. Okay, it is only bad because it is not working in that situation.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
So this fridge sound is not working for me right now because it might disturb this silence. But it might work where we have to break an insanely intense conversation between a couple in a film. Correct? We can use it creatively.
Yeah.
It is not sounding right now, but it is sounding right in that particular situation.
Right.
So it is not bad.
Right.
It is not in correct place to say.
And we can't tell it. Freeze.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the sound design comes in.
Right.
So I think setting up correct perspectives and educating yourself are the two things which can start you off.
Yeah.
And then experimenting, like to be bold and not be fearful of isko ghumaya, ye kiya, wo kiya, to kya hoga. Make mistakes and just learn from them.
I think you made a great point there because when you said that education, and it's all science.
Yeah.
So learning sound is a science.
Yeah.
Producing a sound for the context, relevant for that context, that's what makes it art.
Correct.
Is it
So,
okay if I say that?
Yeah, yeah. So for example, there is something called phasing in sound. Okay. What phasing does is, in simple terms, it will cancel out certain frequencies because, okay. But if you are a creative person and you know what phasing is, you can apply that creatively for certain sounds. That is actually, what to say, cancelling is it won't sound good actually.
Yeah.
Cancelling a certain frequency, the sound will sound incomplete. It will sound thin. It won't have body to it. Okay. But if you can apply it creatively, you know you have mastered that thing.
You
So-
remind. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, please.
No, please go ahead.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So you reminded me of wine. It's got a
Yeah.
body. It's got a. You know. I'm sorry. I just keep interrupting, but you can continue. I mean, you were saying something.
No, that's
really
what I
important.
meant. Ki if we know the science and everything behind it through education, and if we have set correct perspectives, then we can actually put what is not good to use
Yeah.
creatively and get a better effect out of it. I can certainly talk about what things can drive you in this. One of the important factors is, I think, curiosity. For me, at least, that played a big role in choosing this, because what happened was, being a tabla player, I had an ear for good sound or sound in general. I also like to appreciate what is not good, because it is sound at the end. I try to trip on it. I enjoy tripping on good sounds or bad sounds. Okay. But there was a certain curiosity in my head that how is this created? How can I get control over this and apply it where I wish to do it? If I am expected to design certain things creatively for music or for a film or for a documentary, I should have control on this thing which is beyond controlling. So can I achieve that control wherein I can bend the frequencies in such a way that I can manipulate those to behave and do things for me and not me doing for them? Okay, that was something which sort of was a drive for me to educate myself. And to come up till this point, something which was there since my childhood was music ka introduction, listening to good music because of my dad and Aji and parents also, like family, whole family in a way. So all of that actually led me to this. Is why I feel ki it is part of the journey and derivative where you need to identify that point. Ki this is the point that led me to this. What led me to this point? okay, all of these things led me to this point, is why I am good at appreciating these things, or I have an ear or understanding of these things. Can I do more on this or that? If I choose to do this, I can go in a certain way, in a certain direction. That's what I did.
So I wanted to ask another question about, can you share with us how do you manipulate a sound?
Okay.
You know, there is a sound, you create that, and then out of that sound, how do you manipulate it?
Right.
If you can share some examples with us,
Yeah.
that would be really great.
So, okay.
I know you haven't got the equipment here,
Yeah.
but then if you can just share with us online as well, which we could
That is
incorporate.
doable. So there are see what are the basics of sound basically. If we look at a design or a graphic designer, what are the basics with which they'll start working? Is line, dot, basic shapes, circle, rectangle, all of that.
Correct.
The basics of sound in that sense would be a sine wave, sawtooth wave, a triangle wave, okay, a pulse width. So all of these are my elements which I would normally choose if I have to sculpt and design certain sounds. Okay, so I'll choose a certain wave to design a kick sound. I'll choose maybe a triangle to design some sort of snare drum. Okay, maybe a sawtooth to design something else. Okay, so depending on the end result that I have in my mind while creating a music piece or an effect in a film, I can think ulta, okay, to choose my source. Okay, now once I choose my source, I have different options to manipulate those. There are effect processors, there are softwares which can do it for me, there are hardwares which can do it for me. I can change the texture and the tonality of that wave. I can change the amplitude, I can change the pitch, I can change the what you can say, timbre. Okay, I can change all sorts of things. I can add harmonics to it, I can add multiplied harmonics to it, I can add whatever I wish to, okay, which will give the character. So how do I recognize it is Manish? You have a male voice, I have a male voice, you have a male voice. How can we differentiate between that is a female, but that is not my mother? She's somebody else. It is because of the harmonies present in our voice. Okay, so that is the way we understand that this female voice is different than that female voice, or this male voice, or sitar is sitar and guitar is guitar. Both are string instruments.
Yeah.
But how do you recognize this is a sitar? It is not just by the way it is played. It is also fundamentally because of the sound. And the sound, why it is differentiated is because of the harmonies in the sitar and harmonies that are triggered when we pluck a guitar string. Correct? That is the main thing that is the way we this thing. So I can manipulate all of these factors with hardwares or softwares and create certain sounds which are helping me design or create that emotion in the specific scene or a music piece. There is something called pink noise. There is something called white noise. Basically, it has a lot of like all white. What is a white color? It has all the colors in it. Spectrum. Same as white noise. It has all the frequencies.
So it's like sitting in a flight and
is white noise.
Okay.
Yeah, वो जो आता है. White noise calms babies. You can put a baby to sleep with white noise.
इसलिए वो
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. White noise is used for calibrating studios because it has all the frequencies. You need to calibrate a studio for all the frequencies. You can't calibrate it for 200 hertz or 150 hertz.
Right.
You need to calibrate through the spectrum.
Correct.
So that is, so these, so if I know these physics of it, if I know the behavior of these things, I can manipulate those with certain effect processes. What will effect processes? I can reverse the sounds. Okay, if it's going ta, I can do correct. I can use that to my creative process. So if it's taka dimi takita taka dimi takita, I can do that. For example, it is not a correct example. What I mean is my next beat can be a reverse one. Taka ka can be a reverse one. Right? Okay. I can derive a very interesting groove through it, which can fall in which can fall in the natural sense of it, but can also sound modern because I have manipulated it digitally.
Like beboing or
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
ठीक है. So that's how you can choose how to create and how to develop and design certain sounds for whatever you need to. What I'll do is I will choose a wave. Okay, I'll choose a very basic sound wave, and I'll start adding up stuff to it by manipulating it. Okay, and change the texture and derive and end up in something else altogether. So what we can do is in whatever 2 or 3 minutes time, or you tell me the time length, we can identify कि शुरू कहाँ से हुआ था and end कुछ अलग ही हो गया. Or we can choose if we want some different end, or if we want to play in that threshold only and create something beautiful out of the same thing. ह्याच्यात मजा आहे.